She who whispers. There were many times when I simply refused to even approach the bridge. This defiance landed me in a mess most often. But after repeated tests, I learned to put my will in accord with hers. She teaches me rituals. Many of them are in this book. Sometimes she gives me several choices, pointing out the possible ramifications of each. I cannot summon her like a pet. She is not intrusive or impolite. Most often, she waits until I am in a relaxed position to really talk. But if it is important for me to receive some on-the-spot guidance, she shows up. One evening in the spring of 1980, I walked into my bathroom and she said, "Working the mother. Write it. Right." She gave me the assignment and left. Standing there in my bathtub, my healing place, I understood that she meant an informational, instructional book containing my experiences, rituals, and charms. That was the first working title of this book. Knowing that I had been on and continued to be on a challenging spiritual path, I was confident that I could do it. The Western Witch. But that confidence did not last long. The Western Witch, who appears as an emaciated, beady-eyed, dizzy being with a whining voice, crept around me, laughing and ridiculing me, saying, "Who the hell do you think you are? You're uneducated. You're black. How dare you?" Ad nauseum. Maybe she's the voice of my father and all those other naysayers who have passed through my life. Maybe she is my own fears and lack of self-esteem. I'm not sure, but even she has her positive uses. I listen, debate with her, and then evoke my warriors who give me protection, strength, and courage, and I put her accusations to the test. Most often, I can remove her like a pebble on the freeway. The women who attended my workshop on African goddesses at the Berkeley Women's Center showed intense interest in what I had to say. They reported to me constantly that the charms I taught them worked. My readings were accurate. They encouraged me to translate my understanding into poems, plays, and articles. They helped me keep faith in the writing of this book. Thanks to a good memory, self-igniting recall, and the interrogative quality of hindsight, I am able to gather bits and pieces of my experiences and weave for you a web representative of the winding path I followed to arrive at this place. To you, it may seem comprehensive, but you must know that there was a time when I had no idea who I was becoming. I was drafted by my goddess. I thought I would grow up to be a journalist, an actress, a dancer, a beauty queen. Instead, I find that all my acquired skills were grooming me to become a better teacher, a healer, a servant of the Mother of Beauty. Looking at the situation in retrospect, I realized that she took good care with my education. She edited out the garbage and rewrote the script. She lured me into experiences, prompted me to formulate new words, and reconsider the definitions of old ones. She made sure I met the right people in the right places at the right time. And she saw to it that I was in the right frame of mind to respond accordingly to the offering laid before me. This is, in my opinion, the essence of luck. I thought myself so unusual that no one could possibly understand where I was coming from. But the woman spirit community called me out of my cocoon and said, "We want to learn what you know, however little, however scattered." And much to my surprise, I found that many women out there were kin to me. Black women and white women, women yellow, red, and brown, women. It is my intention to share with you the things she who whispers has taught me. The most valuable thing contained in these pages is a call to a different perspective. I will attempt to substantiate old beliefs with modern ideas and unravel contemporary puzzles by decoding ancient hieroglyphs. We must remember that our modern physical and social sciences are the children, not the parents, of these ancient musings. Some things cannot fully be explained. We must be mindful also of the convolutions of patriarchy and erosophobia, its sexist language and twisted ideas. We must register willingly for the draft of the goddess and make her basic training part of our daily regimen. Working the mother is a job. It is a commitment to cultivate your intuitive faculties. It demands that you let go of old biases and old fears. It means recognizing and embracing those others who truly are your kindred spirits. It carries the responsibility of transforming yourself and your environment. Come, sisters, take this journey with me. Share this responsibility with me. Your response to the material that follows is my test. Have I done my homework? And it can be your test. Are you willing to serve in the house of the mother? The third work. Useful charms and chants. The mask macrame. To be made during a fit of depression. Ingredients: a thin paper plate, a set of colored pencils, matches, fireplace cauldron or a metal bowl, a hole puncher, a piece of string. Sit quietly with a frown on your face. Contorting the face muscles will help you get in touch with your pain. Use the colored pens to draw a face of the paper plate that looks the way you feel. Include things that symbolize your negative feelings, experience, habits. Punch holes in the side of the paper plate and tie the string through the holes so that you can wear the mask. Put the mask on the back of your head. Scream out the negative attributes, jealousy, poverty, fear, and so on, until you feel they are no longer in you. Throw the mask into the fireplace, cauldron, or metal bowl. Watch it burn. Go to a mirror, take a deep breath, and smile. Smile. Masks are used by people of all cultures. I am grateful to Bae Young for this exercise. Water gazing. Water gazing is a safe and pleasant way to increase concentration, exercise the imagination, and stimulate the intuition. Choose a clear glass chalice or bowl. Wash the chalice in salt water and let it drip dry. Fill the glass with spring water, clear rainwater, or tap water that runs clear. Fill the glass to at least 3/4 of its capacity. Take a deep breath. As you inhale, touch the top of the glass at its corners. Place both hands over the center of the water and exhale. Feel your breath push through the palm of your hands and into the water. Light a white candle and place it to the left or right of your position in relation to the glass. Sit in a relaxed position and look into the glass through the sides and the top. Initially, do this for at least 5 minutes a sitting. Later, increase it to 15 minutes a sitting. Allow images to form themselves in the bowl. Write down images that appear. Do not attempt to project images into the bowl. Do not become attached to them at first. Simply Keep a record of them until they prove relevant to events taking place in your life. Gazing in groups. 2 or more people can gaze for each other. In this case, each person involved crosses the water with their hands. The bowl should be placed in the center of the table with candles judiciously placed to give sufficient light. Everyone gazes into the bowl and calls out the images seen. If the image is relevant to someone's experience or aspiration, that person may respond and elaborate on the matter at hand. Group sessions may continue for hours, but should end if group members become sleepy. Water gazing relaxes the mind, and images often continue their messages through dreams. To intensify concentration, fill the glass with crystals that have been washed in ocean water or sea salt and water, and tempered by fire, and or place your gazing glass on top of a mirror. Disposal of water. Dispose of the water accordingly. If the images born of the gazing have been undesirable, take the water for a walk away from your home and throw it in the street. If terrible news, flush it down the toilet. If good news, add the water to your bath or bathe with it. When not in use, the gazing bowl should be cleaned and filled with water. A fresh flower should be put in the bowl. In Chapter 6, we will use water gazing as an oracle for contacting ancestors. Chant for self-esteem. To be recited anytime you doubt that you are a powerful person. Earth, water, fire, and air. Within me all things are there. Flesh on my bones is like the earth. It's soft but strong and full of worth. The blood that flows within my veins is like the ocean, river, and rain. My spirit soars and takes me higher. Here is where I keep my fire. My breath and thoughts are like the air. I can do anything and go anywhere. Earth, water, fire, and air. Within me all things are there. And so I pledge unto myself power, love, health, and wealth. This poem was channeled to me by the Spirit Ella May in spring 1983. Part 2. Ancestral Journey. Nature worship. At first it was dark, so very dark that one could hardly see. Then with her magic, Mawa made the fire great, wondrous light that brings day, and set it in the heavens, high over the earth, so that she might better view all that she had made. In the light, Mawa saw the vastness of her works, felt the joy of her creation, tingled with the pleasure of contemplating the beauty she had made. But soon she worried about how much weight the earth could hold, and thus she spoke to Hoodoo. Crawl beneath the earth, curl yourself up as round as a reed mat, and like a platter that holds the food upon it, hold up the weight of the earth so it shall never fall. I have created massive mountains, heavy hills, and tall trees, elephants and giraffes, lions and zebras. The earth is heavy with my creation, and you must hold it up. Thus Hoodoo crawled beneath the earth and lies there still. Prior to the white colonization of the continent, was Africans believed in an animated universe, in the process I call continuous creation. Continuous creation means that the generation and recycling of energy is always and in effect. God is no thing, incomprehensible and beyond direct human contact. Earth, air, fire, and water in all their myriad of forms are only reflections of God the Creator. Discussions on the gender of God are absurd, and traditionally Africans do not attempt to make images of the Infinite One. God is conceived and spoken of in terms descriptive of creation. The Yoruba say that God is the author of day and night, the discerner of hearts. The Ngombe of the Congo see God as the one who clears the forest and the one who fills everything. The Akan of Ghana speak of God as the ever-ready shooter and the killer mother. The Hero of Southwest Africa declare that God has no father and is not a man. The Africans realize that whatever we say about God is limited by our perception of God. But God is not limited. Everything we know is God, and that which we do not know is also God. God transcends our understanding, and there is nothing beyond or outside of God. Knowable, God is the sum total of all the forces of nature in dynamic interaction. God is the sum total of all the forces of nature in dynamic interaction. One of our limitations is language, and unfortunately, sexist language has insisted on labeling this totality whose intelligence gives birth to all as a he. Let us exercise dynamic temperance by balancing this popular myopia with an examination of Nana Buluku, the supreme deity of the Fan, Dahomey. The world was created by one God, who is at the same time both male and female. This creator is neither Mau nor Lisa, but is named Nana Baloku. In time, Nana Buluku gave birth to twins who were named Mau and Lisa, and to whom eventually dominion over the realm thus created ceded. To Mau, the woman, was given command of night, to Lisa, the man, command of the day. Mau, therefore, is the moon and inhabits the west, while Lisa, who is the sun, inhabits the east. At the time their respective domains were assigned to them, no children had as yet been born to this pair. Though at night the man was in the habit of giving a rendezvous to the woman, and eventually she bore him offspring. This is why, when there is an eclipse of the moon, it is said the celestial couple are engaged in lovemaking. When there is an eclipse of the sun, Mau is believed to be having intercourse with Lisa. It is important that Geandry be explored because the oppression of women has been based on an erroneous assumption that the Most High God is male. It is important that Geandry be explored because the oppression of women has been based on an erroneous assumption that the Most High God is a male. We must reverse patriarchal thinking in order to get a balanced perspective. Knowing that humans form their concept of God from workings of nature, let us turn to creation and action, the fetus in the womb. The misogynistic view says that the male child is superior to the female. It is a known and accepted medical fact that all fetuses show female physical characteristics first. Masculinity is a secondary development. We could, therefore, also say that the prototype for humanity is female. God is female, and the major components of God, sky and earth, are conceived as androgynous and gyrandrous, respectively. The essentially male sky has a female aspect, and the essentially female earth has a male aspect. Thus we have in the Yoruba pantheon Obutala, the king of the white cloth, the sky god, who is also called the mother of creation, and Yamunja, the great mother creator, the ocean, who is also Olukun, the old man of the sea. The profusion of creation myths found in West Africa will baffle the reader who is stuck in an either-or mindset. Between these two creators is a host of deities labeled male and female, who are the personifications of the forces of nature. In Ghana, they are called Abosum, among the Yoruba, Orisha, and to the Fan Dahomey, they are the Vodun. They are pre-human archetypes of human personalities with extra-human powers and the ability to interact with people and things to affect change. Their primary function is to act as intermediaries between humans and the Great One. The African observed the voluptuous river with its sweet water and beautiful stones and surmised intuitively that it was female. They named the river Oshun, goddess of love. They further noticed that a certain woman carried the flow of the river in her stride, spoke with a honeyed voice, and took great pleasure in adorning herself. So they called her the daughter of Oshun. They know that the river came before the woman and that the woman's stride is affected by the flow of the river. If we try to count the spiritual beings of West Africa as a whole, our number system could easily fail us. This is so because all things contain some of the energy of the Creator, and many things are considered particularly sacred. Also, because of cultural exchange between African groups, a deity of one group will appear in the pantheon of another. Thus, Nana Baluku of Dahomey appears as the moon in the neighboring Yoruba group. Some scholars tended to classify these deities as fertility or water spirits. This narrow categorization is misleading. All the deities have a number of attributes, including fertility. A comprehensive discussion of these deities would take another dozen volumes. The following chart is designed to enhance an introductory understanding of the personalities and powers. This chart is predominantly Yoruba, where possible parallels have been drawn with the Fan Dahomey, the Ashanti, and the Akan of Ghana, and the Ibu of Nigeria. The power of these deities is neutral in dormant form and is categorized as Ari, virtue, or Ogoshubu, vice. Depending on its application in a given situation, the deities fight with their devotees in order to push them in the right direction. For example, if a person has an osogobo, illness, poverty, from a deity, this is due to an abuse of power, neglect, laziness. It can be changed into Ari, health, wealth, by proper sacrifice and by correcting their behavior pattern, care, work. Ari, grace, can degenerate into ugubo through the lack of proper action. In this tradition, sacrifice means to make sacred and is atonement for negativism. Our neglect and laziness are made sacred and released to the deity for recycling. The animal sacrificed is the messenger of our intent. Most feminist spiritualists seek a tradition that does not entail animal sacrifice. No rituals in this book require it. Blood has been used and traditions all over the world because it is the life force. We cannot live without it. But nature in her kindness and wisdom has provided woman with an easy and regular access to this force. And all people receive life through this red flow of woman. We will use this gift in our earth reverence ritual in the fourth work. Animal protection is important for the preservation of the planet, but we must also remember that the pepperoni on the pizza we had for lunch was once a living animal. It was conveniently slaughtered, cured, and attractively packaged for our use. Country women have no illusion or guilt about the source of their nourishment. I feel that people who eat meat should have the experience of slaughtering their own occasionally. This might increase our respect for Mother's gift. It might also lead to an increase in vegetarianism, but don't grin too widely, you militant vegetarians. The bell pepper in your salad was also cut off from its life force to feed you. Whereas the Most High God is more intelligent than a human can comprehend, the component deities are more like us. Their behavior is recorded in the mythology of the people. They speak to us through oracles and mingle their intelligence with ours by means of possession. Let's clear up a misunderstanding, okay? I want to clear it up right now. So let's clear up a misunderstanding. The stereotype of possession is spookism, a misrepresentation of European occultism fostered by the Catholic Church. This stereotype shows a lone person in a dark room messing with some symbols she doesn't understand. Suddenly, she is seized up by the personality of a maniac and throws up split pea soup and shoves a crucifix in her vagina. This is ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. This is ridiculous. It is the media hype of fearmongers. I am told by former priests that this type of possession does occur among Catholics, but it is not possession in the African tradition. In African spirituality, possession is welcomed in a heartwarming occurrence. It happens in communal rituals and involves the ancestors or powers of nature. The priest dedicated to a deity willingly, she gives consent, willingly provides a vessel, her body, for the temporary incarnation of the power. And the goddess rewards the priestess by imparting information and advice for the betterment of the human community. The celebrated Delphic oracle of the ancient European world functioned in much the same way. Now let's take a closer look at these colorful deities after they arrive in the Western Hemisphere. The Da. The universe is a sphere which may be compared to two halves of a calabash, the edges of which match exactly. The joined line is the line of the horizon. The surface of the earth, which is flat, lies on this horizontal plane. The first sphere is enclosed in another larger sphere. And between the two are the waters. The smaller sphere is mobile. The little calabash floats into the large one. The waters outside of it are the source of the rains, but within the smaller sphere there are also waters. They form the sea. It surrounds the earth not only on the plane of the horizon, but also beneath it. This is why one finds water if one digs deep into the earth. Says Bimupa, adding, water surrounds the earth, covering the whole surface of the half calabash. The heavenly bodies revolve on the inner surface of the smaller calabash. The process of ordering the world before the creation of man consisted essentially in gathering together the earth, determining the place of the waters, securing the welding together of the whole. The preceding quote explains the worldview of the faun. The waters that surround all things are an analogy for the energy that carries creation, the force field in which creation takes place. The faun called this energy field the Da, and defined it as a Hoodoo who incarnates the quality of dynamics in life. It is movement, flexibility, sinuousness, fortune. It manifests itself as a serpent, as rainbow, as umbilicus, as plant roots, as the nerves of animal forms, as the gaseous emanations that issue from mountains. It explains how, when an immovable thing like a mountain shows life, it is the Da within that actuates it. Although all nature contains energy from the Da and is considered fundamentally sacred, trees, rivers, mountains, and thunderstones are considered particularly so because of their utility and endurance. Thunderstones are meteorite rocks. In the West African view, both the rock and the human are composed of energy provided by the Da. We can say that the rock has the energy of being, it exists. The plant and the animal have instinct, the energy of doing. Humans are favored by the Da. We have existence, instinct, and self-reflective consciousness, this complex energy on all levels. Humans are favored by the Da. We have existence, instinct, and self-reflective consciousness. This complex is energy on all levels and carries a grave responsibility. This energy can be extracted from and fused into rocks and humans by various ritualistic means. The human is receptive to the energy emanating from the rock, and the rock is receptive to human influence. The Namo. As with all traditional societies, invocations hold an important place in ritual. The Namo, a term used by the Dogon of Mali, the power of the word is a Da. Namo is water and the glow of fire and seed and word. In one, Namo, the life force, is the fluid as such, a unity of spiritual physical fluidity, giving life to everything, penetrating everything, causing everything. The Namo awakens all sleeping forces and strengthens weak ones, according to the will of the speaker. Words uttered in a particular sequence, rhythm, and tone can bring a rock to action, cause rain to fall, or heal a sick person 100 miles away. When properly played, the drums are also Namo. They send messages to the universal intelligence and receive answers. So all things in the universe have a constant effect on each other, and every event can be interpreted as having spiritual significance. For example, a woman goes to the river to fetch water. Today, she chooses a spot beneath a tree on the riverbank. As she dips her gourd into the water, a branch falls on her head and kills her. The Westerner examines her body and says this woman died due to a blow to the cranium. She lost consciousness and blood, and she died. The African says, obviously. But why did this woman fetch water this day? Choose this spot beneath this tree at the time when this tree was ready to drop its branch. The Westerner will put her body in a box and bury it. The African will consult the oracle to determine whether it was truly her time to die or whether this was caused by energy directed towards her. Her children will be called to gather and cleanse by some ritualistic means. Her image and name will take their place on the ancestor's shrine. In the spirit of the tree will be placated. That is, fed and invoked to spare the lives of her family line. Ashe. Our departed sister in the preceding example may have been guilty of drawing water from the river too many times without leaving a proper offering. This is an abuse of her personal power. Her ache, Yoruba term, ache passes through us. It is used by us and must be replenished by ritualistic means. Replenishing the ache is a prime reason for the existence of individual and group rituals and the use of charms. There is a regulated kinship among human, animal, mineral, and vegetable life. Africans do not slaughter animals wholesale, as was done with the African American buffalo. Nor do they devastate the fields that serve them. Africans do not slaughter animals wholesale, as was done with the American buffalo. Nor do they devastate the fields that serve them. It is recognized that they have been graced with the personal power to hunt, farm, and eat. But it is also recognized that they must give back that which is given to them. As a result of this view, the dynamic interaction of energy through the use of work, celebration, and music, song, dance, myth, and placation, sacrifice, offering, was the standard mode of worship for early African peoples. The Abiji. As noted earlier, Mawa and Lisa were born twins. They are an analogy for the bisexual polarity in nature and human nature. Female, moon, night, sun, male, day. Female, cold, left, intuitive, soul, circle, inspiration, electromagnetism, negative. Male, heat, right, rational, body, square, action, gravity, positive. The sky supports both the sun and the moon. The earth knows both heat and cold. Each person has both a left and right body side, and each embodies both male and female characteristics. Witness the female lion who was queen of the hunt, or the male seahorse who nurtures his young. The African recognized the Ibiji Yoruba for twins, the concept of duality as a human limitation and perception of a whole. According to our perception and interaction with the forces of nature, everything has both a negative and a positive aspect. Birth is the beginning of physical life, and death is the end of it. But the essential energy of existence, Da, continues beyond physical life. Both life and death simply exist and are two sides of the same coin of existence. We label things and events good or evil because we need order in our thinking, but in some ways, dangerous is a better word to use when describing that which is undesirable in the African view. Let us take, for example, the Sabunsem of Ghana, who is described as an evil monster. The monster is covered with hair, his large bloodshot eyes and long legs with feet pointing in both directions. It sits in trees and pounces on unwary hunters. Africans believed in witches as women who performed magical works against their menfolk. And the Cameroons, when the divination shows that a man's mother-in-law speaks ill of him, the man is filled with dread because the dangerous power of the Nomo. Typically, these witches were market women who were exercising financial independence. In the witch hunts of Africa, these women were made to surrender their magical tools, but were not murdered en masse. Male sorcerers were employed by the people to direct their energy against enemies in warfare. During peacetime, these men were feared. But both the witch and the sorcerer have their positive applications of power. They, like the monsters in the forest, are often credited with teaching the community healing techniques and acting as a force against other negative forces. The African worldview is a realistic one and provides a way of dealing with the complexity of life.